So it's so important here to buy local from Neil's. So we brought you down to one of the fields where we buy a lot of our local produce. And Les has been in Yorkshire for over 50 years, growing broccoli, cauliflower, kale, spring cabbage, all sorts of stuff. We buy the stuff off Les, we bring it to your door, we pick it, we pack it, we put it on your plate within less than 24 hours. So Les, can you tell them what's in these fields today then, pal?
This is a crop of spring cauliflower for you, which will start cutting in March and we should go through till June. And over the far side, we've got some kale, and on the far side, that's spring cabbage.
When you pick that kale, just explain for Neil's how long it takes before you get that in a banana box up to our unit, and then we can put on people's plate.
Oh, we harvest on the morning and deliver it afternoon, so it can be in Neil's in the afternoon and ready to go out to his customers in the following morning.
So the beauty of this, guys, is that the supermarkets put it all in packaging, put it in plastic. It can be sat in boxes for over 2 or 3, 4 or 5 days. We're putting it on your table within less than 24 hours. It's only leaf at the minute, but listen to it all squeaking. Listen to the sound of all that. That's the nourishment, the goodness in these leaves, the water, all the nourishment that's coming out of the ground, which more or less tells you that this produce will be ready for March and it'll be absolutely bang on.
When we harvest it and get it straight in the store, it's got the most nutritional value and the best taste. Longer you leave it in store or wrapped in plastic, anywhere, it's losing taste and it's losing nutritional value.
From the field to the fork is massively important, and what we're doing here, we're getting from field to fork in 24 hours. So Les will pull this out in the morning, it'll be boxed up, it'll be ready to rock and roll, be put in his van. The next following morning it'll be Neil's warehouse, it'll be delivered to the restaurant or to you, to your table, to you to eat that day on your knife and fork, fresh as a daisy.
I guarantee you'll taste the difference.
So we brought you to a field here full of kale. Look at that, absolutely beautiful. And as you know, in life we've got a few trends. In 80s, you know, 60s flares, 80s patches on jeans. Now we've got kale. Kale is massively mass produced now to the table because it's so good. People put it in drinks, for nutritional drinks, but years ago, predominantly, as Les is going to explain to you better than me, this was grown for cattle.
It's become very fashionable in the last few years of kale because it's supposed to be full of vitamins. The beauty about it, as I say, it was a cattle food, and it was cattle food because it's so hardy. This crop here will sit here till next May, and it won't change.
And as we've said before, we're cutting it, we're packing it, and we put it on your plate again within less than 24 hours. Look at it, absolutely beautiful. So we've come down to this field now to show you what else has been planted in. This is another field that Les has got full of spring cabbage, but as you can see, we've got a few little problems.
We have to plant spring cabbage in September, August, September, because the land gets too wet. And as we're finding, as the years go on, the climate change, we're getting bigger and bigger rains, and as you can see by the land, it just turns to mush. So we've got to get the crop in before that, and this crop will quite happily sit here till next March, and then when the land starts drying out and it starts warming up, that's when it'll start growing. 20 years ago we didn't seem to be getting the amount of rainfall that we're getting nowadays, and the water table seems to be getting higher, so once it gets to this stage there's nothing we can do with the land, so we'll just have to wait to dry out in spring before we can go again.
What are the big advantages for small businesses like me buying the produce from you in your local area? You know, we're a mile away from Ellen Road. We could be anywhere, we could be at middle of Yorkshire Dales, but we're a mile away from Ellen Road. What are the advantages for small people like me or small businesses buying the produce from you?
I think there's two main advantages. One is the food miles. My food miles goes from field straight to your warehouse. Yep. The other one is keeping a small industry still going. The problem with the supermarkets is that they only want one supplier or two suppliers for the whole country, so the little growers like myself have nowhere to sell the produce because a lot of the green grocers have packed up because they just can't compete with the supermarket.
Absolutely.
When I started 30 years ago in Leeds Wholesale Market, there were 20 wholesalers. If you fell out with one, you could just go next door. There was always somewhere to sell your produce, but now, unfortunately, there isn't. So that's why we need Neil's to keep going.
So as you can see, your local greengrocer.co.uk can't get any more local than this. We're about 5 miles from your warehouse, we're 2 miles from Ellen Road. We want to bring to you quality produce, fresh from the fields, to your doorstep, free delivery from field to fork.